Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
This game played out essentially just like I thought it would. It would be close, it would be a battle, it would be tight, and the Eagles would have to make a play or put a drive together to win the football game. And that's exactly what happened. There were very frustrating moments in this game. The defense was pitiful. I mean, I can't believe that these two sides of the football can't get on the same page at the same time. It's either the Eagles offense scores 3 points, but the defense holds them in it, or it's the other way around. The Eagles offense score and move the chains, but the defense gets abused left and right. It's unbelievable. It's disgusting to me that they can't put together a full team effort, because this team would be completely different. But they improved to 7-7, and that doesn't mean they are a good football team. Absolutely not. That means they are now a mediocre football team. They're a 500 squad for a reason. But luckily, the NFC East is a dumpster fire, and they still have a chance to host a home playoff game. It's actually sickening to think about, but it is the truth. Like, if the Eagles were 7-7 in the NFC West, the narrative completely changes. The way that we think about this team, it changes. But because the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles are both pitiful, well, guess what? There's a chance. There's a chance. And that's all you can ask for when it comes to this team right now. They are not a great team because they won 2 in a row. But here they are. Here they are. They're in the fight, and they left Maryland with the win, and that's what we needed them to do. There is so much to discuss in this 37-27 victory, but before we do, I need to let you know about the promo code BROADS that you can use at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off of your total purchase. So you get to go to a game and you get free parking, or you get free beer, or you get free food. It's a no-brainer. Use the promo code BROADS today. So we will start with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz delivered in the end. 11 for 11 in the fourth quarter. 82 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was special in the fourth quarter. When the team needed it, under 5 minutes to go, down in the game, he put the team in the position to win. He hit Greg Ward on a 3rd and 5. He hit Dallas Goedert, who made a spectacular one-handed catch. And guess what? Even great quarterbacks in this league need help from their weapons. And Carson Wentz finally got help from one of his weapons. I mean, that could arguably be the first time all season someone other than Zach Ertz made a special play to really help their quarterback. I couldn't believe it. I had to wash my eyes. I went up in the bathroom when that play was over, and I put soap in my eyes to make sure that it was real. After that, Carson Wentz hit Greg Ward for a first, and then hit Greg Ward for the touchdown with just over 20 seconds left. It was a special drive, so in back-to-back weeks, Carson Wentz makes it happen. You can argue that the New York Giants stink. That's fine. That's fair. They do. You can argue that the Redskins stink. Sure, they do. I think their defense is better than their 3-win record says, though. I'm not telling you they're the Chicago Bears in their prime, but I could argue that it's decent. It's a decent defense to go up against. I'm not going to take anything away from Carson Wentz because of the opponent. I thought Carson was really solid in those moments, and that's what you ask for, or that's what you ask your quarterback to do. Be solid in those moments. Be clutch. Is 11 for 11 and 2 touchdowns not clutch in the fourth quarter? I think it is. This is where you can be upset, though. To be in the position that the Eagles were in, Carson Wentz put the ball on the carpet. He fumbled the football, and that allowed the Redskins to take a field goal lead. The defense got lucky because it was 3rd and 10, a rookie mistake. He tried to make a move, and it was 4th and 1 when the Redskins had a first down. They could have scored a touchdown. They could have kicked the field goal. I don't know what could have happened if they got that first down, but the Eagles' defense got lucky in that moment, and the Eagles executed on it. But Carson Wentz has a problem when it comes to fumbling the football. Miles Sanders was wide open in the flat. He could have ran for the first down in that moment. His pocket awareness is not there at times, and it's costing this team. He puts the ball on the floor way too many times. Way too many times. That needs to change. Now, it's been a problem for a few years now, for a couple years now. So, this really needs to get drilled in his head at some point. But you can't deny that it is a problem with Carson Wentz. So Carson Wentz did put that team in the position to have to come back late, but he also came back late. So take that for what it is. I'm just proud of him because he's been getting ripped. He's been getting criticized. He's been getting destroyed all season long for not being a good quarterback. Well, the last 2 weeks here, he put something together with this team. And keep in mind, he's doing it with practice squad guys. Now, those practice squad guys are playing well for him. Well, really just Greg Ward. I'll get into J.J. Arcega-Whiteside because that guy stinks. But he's not doing it with good talent around him when it comes to receivers. So it's crazy to think they are where they are with all of the injuries and with the practice squad call-ups and all of that. So I give Carson Wentz a very solid grade for today. He also had that fantastic throw to Miles Sanders on the run to the right side. It was a dot in the back of the end zone, and Miles Sanders finds a way to get his butt cheek in the end zone. That was remarkable. That throw was insane when you look at it from the angle behind Miles Sanders with the two defenders by the goal line, by the sideline, excuse me. That was his best throw of the season. It was a dot. And let's not discredit that throw to Greg Ward in the back of the end zone either. I mean, he tossed it up there. He lobbed it perfectly for Greg Ward to be able to make the play. Let's get to Miles Sanders. Whoa, is this guy special? This kid is special. He started out slow in his career. It's night and day. It's crazy to think about the struggles that he had early on in the season, trying to bounce everything to the outside. He wouldn't hit the gaps properly. Now, there's still some mistakes here and there, but he is explosive. He's reading the gaps beautifully. He had 19 carries for 122 yards. Tell me the last time an Eagles running back had over 100 yards. I mean, it was LeGarrette Blount. So he had that. Also factor in 6 receptions for 50 yards. Doug Peterson utilized Miles Sanders on 3rd and long multiple times. 3rd and 11, a huge gain down the field. He also had a 3rd and 7. To think that Doug Peterson, the guy who never runs the football, put it in Miles Sanders' hand on 3rd and long, mind-blowing. It's literally mind-blowing. Now, I like it. Put the ball in your playmaker's hand. But I will say this, if you get stopped at the goal line or if it doesn't work, the fan base thinks completely different about it because it looks so bad. If he was to get stopped for 2 yards on 3rd and 11, we'd be literally crucifying Doug Peterson. But, I mean, that's how special this kid is, that the coaching staff is believing in him to get a first down in those situations. Now, I would assume that the Redskins did not think that was coming multiple times. So it definitely put them on their heels thinking, whoa, did Doug Peterson really just do that? But all around, I don't know if Doug Peterson really had a great day at the office. He blows my mind at times. Before the half, he is declining penalties, and he is declining 10-second runoffs. How does this guy think? I swear to you, NFL coaches make it harder than it has to be. They overthink everything. Sometimes the decision is just staring you right in the face. He was trying to get the football back right before it just didn't make any sense. It wasn't as if the Eagles offense was thriving at that time. It wasn't as if the Redskins offense was thriving at that time either. Dude, put them back, pull them back. I don't get his mind process, his thought process during that. Those are dumb decisions. Now, it didn't come back to bite them because the Redskins didn't score. But I can't even comprehend how that would be a good idea in the moment. He's not the only person to overthink things. But Doug Peterson is not great when it comes to having to make a split-second decision. That's what it is. I mean, that is what it is. He's not the greatest on his feet thinker. But going back to Miles Sanders, I just find it so awesome that the coaching staff trusts him the way that they do now after everything he went through early on in the season. Fumbling the football multiple times in the same drive. It was so ugly. And with running backs, you sort of expect them to just dominate when they enter the league because you hit your gaps, you run the ball. It's simple. It's what you do. I mean, that's just what the position does. It's the same as it was in college. You see a hole, you hit the gap. But for Miles Sanders, it wasn't that way. He dominated at Penn State. He was a great runner. He had to wait behind Saquon Barkley. He had a lot of spark behind his name, so the Eagles fans just assumed he would be able to walk into this league and run around everyone. It didn't come so easy for him, but now he's remarkable. He's catching the ball as well. A threat, a legit threat for this Eagles team, and I can't wait to continue to watch his career play out in that Eagles uniform. And I also have to tip my cap to Boston Scott. Now, he wasn't as effective as Miles Sanders, but I'll tell you what, this kid can run. This kid can really flat out run, and he's making the most of his opportunities. It reminds me of a young Darren Sproles. I hate to be so cliche, but it really does. And when you put the ball in his hands, he's going downhill. He's running as fast as he can. He's so small. So when the offensive line is in front of him, defenders can barely see him as he's hiding behind the big lineman trying to hit some holes. It's really impressive stuff. So credit to those two. Let's move on to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. This kid is horrible. He's trash. He's terrible. I can't stand it. He is the Sidney Jones of that draft that he was drafted in. A second-round pick that is a complete bust. This kid is awful. It's so embarrassing. It's so hard to process that this team went out and drafted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the second round. There were multiple times where there was some sort of miscue during the plays where he's involved both times, may I add, and receivers and tight ends are running the same path and running into each other. As much as I say that Doug Peterson is not a smart guy at times, he's not drawing up plays where the receivers are running at each other and running literally into each other. In the back of the end zone, there was a play where Zach Ertz and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside almost ran into each other, which led to an incompletion. And then the Dallas Goedert play, Dallas Goedert and J.J. ran into each other before he makes the one-handed catch. The guy doesn't know the playbook. The guy doesn't understand. He can't comprehend. Not only that, he can't break away from anyone. What does he do? He's only playing because there's no one else out there. Think about this. Greg Ward is 5 million times more productive than J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Don't tell me he needs time. Don't give me all this. Don't tell me he made a good catch against the Giants. If you are satisfied by one good catch against the Giants, then we are in trouble, okay? I mean, sure, it was a nice catch. It was a nice, skilled catch, but I'm not going to be satisfied if our second-round pick does that one time in 15 weeks. I'm sorry. The kid flat out stinks, and it's such a joke when you watch players like Terry McLaurin out there wax our defenders left and right. J-Jaw had a penalty too. A bad penalty. It was maybe the second drive. He dropped a pass in the end zone. Then he had the penalty. It was awful. I'm sorry. That play needs to be caught in the end zone. It hit his hands. It literally hit his hands. We should have known. We should have known. Early in training camp, I'm pretty sure his mom was holding an umbrella over his head at training camp. I'm sorry, what? You're in the NFL and your mom is holding an umbrella over your head at training camp? I'm sorry, dude. You stink. We should have known it. We should have known it the moment we saw his mom in that umbrella. Just a disgrace. It really is. And that goes back to the front office. What a joke. It kills me. It kills me inside thinking they picked him. I remember hearing his name on draft night, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and then we all got convinced that he's Alshon's replacement. Look at what he can do in the red zone. We thought about the 12 personnel, the Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside with Alshon Jeffrey in the red zone. We got brainwashed early in the offseason, or early in training camp, thinking that was going to be some explosive red zone offense. I'm never believing that crap again. Stinks, I tell you. He stinks. Let's get to the defense. They weren't good either. No pressure. No pressure on Dwayne Haskins. Their offensive line is not good. How did Dwayne Haskins survive without getting murdered out there on the football field? Come on. Come on, D-line. You got to produce more than that. Jim Schwartz had a decent run in the middle of the season. He's taken steps back. I was really surprised with what he was able to dial up early, not early in the season, but it was middle of the season, earlier than where we are now. Blitzes, disguises, being aggressive. Now it's as if the obvious is right in front of him and he's not stopping the obvious. It's very similar to what I stated with Doug Peterson. Sometimes the obvious is right there, but coaches overthink. They don't have that many weapons. If you stop Terry McLaurin, what type of playmakers do they have? Adrian Peterson? Okay. I mean, he's not in his prime, although they made him look that way. But it's so simple, right? Stop their best receiver. Stop the guy who's going to be able to go for over 100 yards. But no, that's not what they do. They allow Terry McLaurin to get going. They allow him to produce. They allow him to wax Ronald Darby, Jalen Mills. How? One question. How? When you dial up a game plan, when you strategically put something together for a Sunday football game, specifically against the Redskins, how is the question not, okay, how do we stop Terry McLaurin to make sure that that spot is closed down, to force Dwayne Haskins to go anywhere else? How do we do that? Ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. We had Dwayne Haskins out there looking like Peyton Manning in his prime at times. This guy's gotten abused by every other team in the league. Throwing interceptions, turning the ball over. Now, there was one play you can argue that maybe would have resulted in an interception. It was a bad throw over the middle. It was a miscommunication between Haskins and the receiver. The ball was right into Rodney McLeod's hand, but Malcolm Jenkins, not knowing who was behind him, kind of swatted the ball down. Now, I'm not going to tell you that Rodney McLeod would have caught the ball because I've seen Rodney McLeod drop many interceptions before. So, there's a reason why he's on the defensive side of the football, because he doesn't have hands. So I don't know if he would have intercepted it, but it looked like it would have went right into his hands. My point is this. The defense did not create enough juice. They did not create enough energy. They did not create enough turnovers. How many times were the Redskins in third and long situations? Barely any. They were able to generate plays on first down. They were able to put themselves in good positions to create first down opportunities. Their offense is not that good. It should never be that easy for a team like the Redskins to produce like that. So I give Jim Schwartz a bad grade. I did not think he had a good outing, and it's just frustrating. I backed him up. I did. I backed him up this season. Early on, he had no one out there. He was trying anything and everything to succeed. Then he started to get healthier. Jalen Mills came back. Ronald Darby came back. And they played really solid. And he continued to blitz and throw different things at teams. Now, it's as if he's taking steps back and going back to his old ways. He was actually being better when he went out of what he normally does. And you're starting to see the same old Jim Schwartz come out. You absolutely are. It's a weird feeling with this game because I'm happy they won. I definitely am happy they won. I'm happy that they're still involved. There's nothing worse than football in December when your team is out of it. If your team has 3-4 wins right now, what are you really rooting for? What are you pumped about? Well, just football on Sunday, right? You relax and you just watch, and you're not really passionate about the games because it doesn't mean anything. I'm just happy the Eagles are involved. That doesn't take away what they are. They're not really good. They're mediocre. They're a mediocre football team. They're 7-7 for a reason. But there's a huge game coming up, a very meaningful game against a very hated rival. I mean, that's all I can ask for. At home, too, may I add. The Cowboys smacked the Rams around, which I thought was going to happen anyway, because when you look at the spread, I believe it opened up at Dallas -4, and it shifted all the way to Rams -1. When a line moves that much, that means there's so much money on the Rams, and when that happens, normally Vegas knows something, the other squad wins. This league is so week to week, if you didn't know that already. The Rams have looked great going into Dallas. The Dallas looked awful going into that game. So what does that mean for next week? I don't know. I'm not ready to digest that yet. I'm not ready to preview that yet. I will be soon because it's that big of a game. But for right now, I'm happy with the win against the Redskins. They did what they needed to do. Here's the thing, though. This recipe, I don't know if it will work against the Dallas Cowboys. They need to play better. And with the way their defense is playing right now, that concerns me. But for what it is, 37-27, it's a good win. Now, it's funny. I talked about betting lines and whatnot. That Nigel Bradham scoop and score, that was the difference in people hitting their bets or not. So because he had that with 0 seconds left, backdoor cover. So you either won your money or you lost your money based off of that play with 0 seconds left in the game. I did not bet the spread. I just took Carson Wentz over 240 passing yards, and I did nail that. So, listen, Carson Wentz put together a drive late to win the game. You got to be satisfied with that. You can be frustrated with some other things in this game, the defense. Carson did miss some throws, but find me a perfect quarterback. You're not going to find a perfect quarterback that makes every throw right on the dot, right on the money. That's when skill players come in. And sometimes these great quarterbacks, sometimes they need their receivers to step up. And I'm talking about, the Drew Brees, the Tom Brady's, the Aaron Rodgers. They need players to step up and make plays for them sometimes. Well, Carson Wentz actually had that in this one, and I was very surprised. Down the stretch, that absolutely happened with Dallas Goedert and Greg Ward. Didn't come from your second-round pick, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. What a joke. I can't end this on a frustrating moment thinking about J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Sick joke. So we're ended on this. Carson Wentz delivered in back-to-back games in the fourth quarter in the clutch. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. I will see you next time.